Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a good night rest. How was your night? And let me just say, hope you had a wonderful Children's Day. Yes, we want to look at another aspect in our English language, and the topic we are looking at today is verbs, revising verbs and verb phrases. Revising verbs and verb phrases. I know verbs is not a new word to you. So when you say verbs are words that expresses action. They are words that expresses action. Or you can say verbs are doing word. Or the way you normally say it in your primary school classes, a verb is an action word. But primarily verbs are words that expresses action in a sentence. An example, you can have dance. Dance shows action. Sing, fight, kill, ask, bake, sleep. They are words that expresses action, so we call them verbs. Verb. Now, these ones that I've mentioned, we call them lexical verb. Lexical verb. Let's look at these examples. Let's look at the following examples of verbs in sentences. John danced yesterday. John danced yesterday. John danced yesterday. The word that expresses action in that sentence is danced. Danced. So danced is the verb in the sentence. Another example, Mary is singing. Mary is singing. Is singing is another word that expresses verb in the sentence. So is singing is the verb. So don't forget, I said verbs are words that expresses action, and I've given you examples of verbs that expresses action. Now let's look at classification of verbs. Don't forget the topic is revising verbs and verb phrases. Revising verbs and verb phrases. How do we classify verbs? Number one, you can classify verbs. We have number one, transitive and intransitive verbs. Transitive and intransitive verb. What is a transitive verb? A transitive verb is a verb that takes an object in the sentence. That is a verb that has an object in the sentence. Don't forget, your sentence will have the subject and the verb, and the verb and object. So when a sentence has an object, you say that sentence is a transitive verb. For example, I baked a cake yesterday. I baked a cake yesterday. From this example we have here, the subject here is I, while baked is the verb, and what is receiving the action of the subject, and that is the object, a cake. A cake is the object. I, subject, baked, verb, a cake, object. So I baked the cake yesterday is an example of a transitive verb. I saw my father last week. I saw my father last week. I is the subject, saw is the verb. My father is the object. So when we have sentences like this, we call them transitive. It is an example of a transitive sentence, transitive verb sentence. Now, the verbs baked and saw, we use them transitively because of their object, and that is the object they have in the sentence, and that is a cake and my father. The second one, intransitive verb. intransitive verb. An intransitive verb does not have any object. It takes no object. An intransitive verb does not take any object. For example, let's look at these examples. Human beings die. Human beings die. Human beings die. That's an example. Human beings die. Human beings is the object there. Is the subject, sorry. While die is the verb. No object. So that is one example. Another example, babies cry a lot. Babies cry a lot. Babies cry a lot. Babies is the subject there. The subject in the sentence. Why cry is the verb and there is no object. So those are examples of a sentence that is used intransitively. Intransitive verb. Now, that is one classification of verb. Another classification of verb. Number 2, we have finite and non-finite verb. Finite and non-finite verb. What is a finite verb? A finite verb is a verb. It is called a finite verb because it is limited to a subject with which it agrees in tense and number. It is limited to a subject in which it agrees with in tense and number. That is, it agrees with the tense in the sentence. For example, I cook rice often. I cook rice often. She cooks rice often. She cooks rice often. We cooked rice yesterday. Look at that yesterday, past tense, and that cooked, also past tense. Do you understand? So that is an example of a finite verb. Then we can have a non-finite verb. That is, this is a sentence that does not have a full verb stature, does not have a full verb. So, for example, we cannot say I stealing. I stealing. If you want to convey the right meaning, the verb must be in a particular tense. Must be either in the past tense, present tense, whatever. It must be in a particular tense. So, you can have she. You can't say stealing your pen. She is stealing your pen. Is stealing. She has stolen my book. She has stolen my book. And that is why non-finite verbs are helped by auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb. So we have is stealing. Is an auxiliary verb. That is another classification of finite verb. Then we can have another type. We have regular and irregular verbs. Regular and irregular verbs. We can have regular and irregular verbs. Regular verbs are verbs that the past tense and participle are formed by adding d or ed. They have the regular way of forming their verbs, and that is through adding d or ed. For example, you have cook. You want to form the past tense for cook, it is cooked. You just add ed. You want to form the past participle for cook, you have cooked. Cook, past tense, cooked, past participle, cooked. You have dance, danced, danced. You only add d to dance. D. We have add, added, added. Add, added. We have chase, chased, and so on and so forth. So that they have the normal way of forming their verbs, and the normal way of forming verbs is through adding d or ed. Irregular verbs, on the other hand, these are verbs that have various forms of forming their verbs other than the normal d or ed. We call them irregular verbs because they don't have a regular pattern of forming the past tense and the past participle. Example, we have come. The past tense for come is came, and the past participle is come. We have swim, swim. The past tense for swim is swam, and the past participle is swum. We have choose, choose. This is also an example of an irregular verb, choose. The past tense for choose is chose, chose, and the past participle is choosing. We have sting, stung, stung. We have grind. The past tense for grind is ground, and the past participle is grounded, and many other examples. We are going to be stopping here for today. In the next class, we are going to continue with our explanation. If you have any questions, the assignment is in your notes. Make sure you copy your notes and send your and submit your submit your assignment. Do have a lovely day. Bye bye.